This story is about power that intoxicates and love that bends even power itself. In the world of high business in Manhattan, there is no room for weakness, yet it was there, among glass and steel, that a war of two wills unfolded. Chapter 1, Entering the Lioness's Cage. The air in Diana Moran's office on the 50th floor always felt thin, like on the summit of Everest. The sterile scent of expensive perfume, the cold sheen of the obsidian desk, and a silence so deep it made your ears ring. Diana was a legend, a woman who turned bankruptcies into triumphs and never forgave mistakes. I, Claire, walked in wearing my only decent suit, feeling like a doe in a predator's den. My task was simple: survive longer than a month as her personal assistant. "Come closer, Claire," her voice was a low baritone that sent shivers down my spine. She didn't look at me. Her eyes were fixed on a stock chart. I stepped forward, stopping a pace from the desk. Slowly, Diana raised her gaze, dark, piercing, devoid of warmth. "You're 40 seconds late. In my world, that's an eternity. Your predecessor cried when I fired her. Will you cry?" "I don't have time for that, Miss Moran," I replied, meeting her eyes. "I have the merger report with Lumina you asked for this morning. It's ready." She froze. That was the first moment a spark passed between us, not of passion, but of recognition of strength. Diana rose slowly, her tall, commanding figure in a flawless dark blue suit towering over me. "Good," she whispered, stepping closer. "Let's see what you're made of." The following months became an exhausting dance. I became her shadow. I knew she drank her tea at exactly 75 degrees Celsius, knew her passwords, and even her fears, the ones she hid behind a mask of ice. Diana dominated everything. She could call me at 3 in the morning to discuss strategy, and I would come. She could make me redo a presentation 10 times in a row just to see when I would break. But I didn't break. I learned from her. I absorbed her methods, her cold logic, becoming her sharpest scalpel. The tension exploded in Chicago. We were trapped in her presidential suite because of a snowstorm. Outside, the wind raged. Inside, silence, soaked in whiskey and unspoken words. "You're taking too much on yourself, Claire," Diana said, standing by the window. "You've started arguing with me in meetings. You forget yourself. You are my instrument." "No, Diana," I stepped closer, feeling righteous fire rising inside me. "An instrument doesn't think for you. An instrument doesn't see how you expose yourself to the board's strike. I am not your toy. I am the only one holding your empire together while you play God." She turned instantly. Her hand gripped my forearm, pressing me against the cold window. "You dare speak to me like that?" Her eyes burned with dangerous fire. "I dare," I breathed, closing the distance. "Because this is what you want. You need someone who isn't afraid to burn on your ice." She didn't answer with words. She captured my lips, a kiss like a command, a kiss like a battle. That night in Chicago, the hierarchy collapsed, giving way to something raw and undeniable. Yet even then, Diana did not surrender control, demanding absolute devotion, absolute surrender of my will to hers. Back in New York, we were thrown into the heart of a corporate war. The board of directors, led by the ruthless Steven Stevens, sensed weakness. They began digging under Diana. At the annual charity gala, I deliberately allowed Stevens to capture my attention. We stood by the bar while he whispered about opportunities beyond Miss Moran's shadow. Across the hall, I saw Diana. She didn't move, but the aura around her grew so heavy people instinctively stepped aside. In the limousine on the way home, she broke. "What were you whispering about with that nobody?" Her voice trembled with restrained fury. "Business, Diana. He thinks I'm the weak link." "You are mine," she snapped, pulling me by the collar of my evening dress, crushing the silk. "Every breath you take in this building belongs to me. If I ever see you smile at someone else again, I'll destroy him. And you. I'll lock you in this office until you forget what the sun looks like." It wasn't just jealousy, it was obsession. But in her eyes, I saw fear. Fear of losing the one person who had seen her for who she truly was. At the emergency board meeting, the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Stevens was triumphant. He laid the photographs on the table as if delivering checkmate. "Diana, this is the end," his voice dripped with venom. "Harassment, nepotism, an improper relationship. Either you sign your resignation, or we destroy you in the press. And your protégé as well." I saw Diana's knuckles turn white as she gripped the edge of the table. She was ready to surrender. She had already parted her lips to speak the words of abdication, to save my reputation at the cost of her legacy. But I stepped forward. "Mr. Stevens, have a seat. You haven't seen the second part of the presentation yet." I placed a flash drive on the table. Graphs of Stevens' offshore accounts and recordings of his negotiations with competitors began to fill the screen. I had gathered it piece by piece, using the access Diana herself had given me, never suspecting how deep I was digging. Silence fell over the room. Stevens slowly sank into his chair, his face turning gray. But in that moment, I looked at Diana. And I saw no gratitude. I saw fear. She looked at me as if seeing me for the first time. In her eyes flashed a painful second of realization. I hadn't just saved her. I had shown her that I possessed a weapon capable of destroying her as well. I knew all her secrets. I was dangerous. For a fleeting moment, her face twisted with pain, the pain of someone who understood that her absolute monarchy had fallen. She was no longer the only predator in the room. That evening, after Stevens was escorted out of the building under security guard, we were left alone in the empty office. Diana stood by the window with her back to me. Her shoulders, always perfectly straight, now seemed drawn tight with strain. "You knew all of this," her voice was barely a whisper. "You kept those files. 4 weeks. "Yes," I answered, not moving. She turned sharply. Tears of fury shimmered in her eyes. "Were you playing me, Claire? All this time, while you were in my bed, while you carried out my orders, were you waiting for the perfect moment to strike?" "I was waiting for the moment to protect us, Diana." "Lies." She stepped toward me, and there was desperation in the movement, the desperation of a cornered beast. She grabbed my shoulders, her fingers digging into my skin. "You took my control. You made me dependent on you. Do you understand what you've done? I can't simply command you anymore. I'm afraid of you." It was the moment of truth. Her dominance had cracked. She hated her own vulnerability, hated the fact that I now stood as her equal. "You'll have to learn to live with that." I covered her hands with mine, feeling the fine tremor running through her. "You wanted someone worthy of you. Here I am. I am not your shadow, Diana. I am your partner. And if you can't accept that, fire me right now." She looked at me for what felt like an eternity. In that silence, the old Diana Moran, the solitary queen on her icy throne, was dying. Slowly, she lowered her forehead to my shoulder, and I felt her resistance break. It was a surrender that cost her the entire world. "I hate you for what you've done to me," she whispered against my neck, her grip shifting into a desperate embrace. "I know," I slid my fingers into her perfect hair, disturbing its flawless order. "But you love the feeling. The feeling that you've finally found someone who can stand against you." She pulled back, her gaze hard again, but now lit by a different fire. Not cold authority, but the blazing force of partnership between two predators. "Tomorrow morning, at 9 sharp, we convene the board," she said, reclaiming her CEO's voice, yet now she looked at me as an ally. "I will announce your appointment." "But Claire." She pulled me closer by the waist, her eyes narrowing. "If you ever use your talents against me, I swear, I will destroy us both. Together." I smiled, tasting victory and danger all at once. "I wouldn't expect anything less from you, Diana." We stood at the center of our empire, two women bound by passion, power, and a shared secret. Dawn was breaking over Manhattan, and the city had no idea what kind of storm was coming.